Okay. I'm gonna be going over a small thing like about temples. Uh, this is just generally how you can go about like getting pretty fast time, like getting just a good average at temples and having almost no temples where you have like issues entering the nether. I'm using Chloe's account here just to choose the seed, just to have it just be temple only. Um, this is gonna assume that you've already played a bit of ranked. The amount that you've played doesn't really matter too much. If you've entered the nether a few times, you know the resources you need to enter the nether, and you can make a portal, that's probably fine. For the sake of this, I'm going to assume that you know how to do woodlight well. Woodlight is annoying and awkward in a lot of ways, and this is similarly applicable, except you just need more access to gravel. But generally speaking, if you know woodlight, there is an incredibly simple flowchart to playing desert temples that you can use, that basically anyone can use to have a reasonably good like low to average on temples. And this is people at the skill level of even like low iron can actually like apply this pretty consistently. So I'm gonna go through some concepts here. So when you get into a seed, there are two main concepts I want to go over. One of them is just information, and the other is beelining. Information is basically all the things you have in a seed that you want to find. For example, this seed, there is really only 5 different things, maybe 6, if you want to get food. But for generally speaking, good food management, which is something I could cover at a different point, means that almost every single temple has the resources for most players to be fine. Rotten flesh is a pretty good food source when utilized well, but obviously you can just add animals into like your line or go out of your way to get them if you like really struggle if you like don't not comfortable with the resources or you just rely on like better food. So whenever you enter a seed instantly, um, this applies similarly to other seed types, everything but rune portal, but on every seed type of rune portal, you're focused very much on how you're entering the nether. And when I mean how you're entering the nether, I mean your lava sources. So on village and temple, that'll be a lava pool, and on oceans, that'll be ravines. So most temples, they're going to have access to just trees close, and I don't know if rank fills them, but I'm fairly sure it does. You want water, and you want lava. Whenever you first enter a seed, I would just basically focus on nothing else but looking for the temple. You shouldn't stand around looking for stuff. You should basically just run in a straight line to what you want. The way other sea types are different, especially oceans, you should spend like a while, like looking for what you need. Like especially when it comes to ravines, you don't want to commit somewhere that's bad. Committing to bad places can lose you up to a minute, 2 minutes if you're like committing to like weird caves and stuff or going to bad ravines. Um, but in this seed type, especially temple, because there's so much vision, right? Village seeds are usually surrounded more by oak and birch forests, while temple seeds are almost universally in very easy to spot lava pool like locations, like a lot less hills, a lot of flat ground. Deserts make it insanely easy because there's no grass to block it or no trees to block the lava pools. So generally speaking, you'll get what you need in the seed type. Um, so the main first thing you want to do on each seed is 2 different things. You want to beeline a temple, and you want to look for information. You basically never want to stop moving unless you're like doing something that really needs to stop moving. You can use your back-facing third person a lot. I wouldn't worry about too much about your movement to temple as long as you're just running in a straight line to where you want to enter it. So whenever you get to the temple, by the time you've entered it, you want to have figured out a few things. There are 3 different bits of information that every single seed is going to need that you want access to, and it's trees, water, and lava pool. I would actually say water is probably the least important, but is still very important. The main problem on most seeds is just finding a lava pool. Desert Temple has the easiest time finding your lava sources than any other seed type, so that's basically what you wanna do on every single seed you enter on Temple. Is you just spawn in, you look for the temple, you run in a straight line to where you want to enter, and you look for a lava pool. There's a lava pool behind me, and there's a lava pool you can see here. I'm usually looking at the corners of my screen. Because of the way, especially the way third person works, I don't play in Quake Pro. Most players play in Quake Pro, which means you can distort your screen pretty heavily to like look for things, which can help a lot with like vision. You should not be looking at the forward part of your screen. You should be looking at corners, and you should be bending your screen as you're running to look for things. So when you beeline the temple and you look for the 3 different bits of information, I would say lava pool is the most important. And then you have water, and then you have trees. Trees are almost universally going to be like, you're going to know where they are because the trees have to spawn this, I think, a specific distance from the iron source, being the temple. So very often you'll have trees. The decision is making the best is the tree you actually want to play. So the order I usually look for things in is I try and look for lava pool first. I try and look for a convenient tree direction. And then I try and see if there's like water on the way to the lava pool. So for example, so yeah, those are the 3 things. If you don't have one of those pieces of information, that is like the main issue you're going to have on overworlds. The main issue like you can have is you play the overworld normally, and then you don't realize until later that you might not have a bit of information that would be like really useful. You're not always going to have information. You don't need to have everything. The only thing that matters if you don't have something like a lava pool or water or gravel is you just need to take note of the fact that you don't have it. That is the only bit of like thinking actually required to play temple as well. So this is an example of a very good seed. I run beeline to temple. I saw a lava pool behind me. I see trees, water behind me, and this is a river, so that's gravel. That's everything. A seed like this would just be insanely simple. So that's how to play information this. And then I'll go over how you actually build your line and tree ordering afterwards, but that's like the basics of actually looking for things. Let me get a different seed, and let's see what other information is or isn't on the seed. So I'm going to enter the temple, and I'm just going to think about what I have and what I don't have. Very often, temples will give you everything you need visible, but it's usually better to beeline and enter the temple as fast as possible, so there might be something that I'm missing. So here, look back, I see a lava pool, I see trees. I don't like this tree because it's one tree, and I see water. That's it. That is every single bit of information I need for the seed found already. Like things that I might want in the seed that I don't have. I didn't have a good tree, and I didn't have gravel. So those are now basically every single time you're in a temple seed and you're in the temple, you're thinking about what problems can you solve. I'm very attuned to waiting. Weird ghost time. I'm thinking about gravel a lot, so my brain is very much looking out for things like this, right? Usually you should get gravel in the temple anyway, just because getting something the most direct line. The line does not change. You just get, like... Not overlapping this with other things is fine. I'll talk about TNT overlapping afterwards. But if you ever have a chance to get gravel early like this in, like, a temple, you always should. You almost always should. If you ever need to, do this, block it off, and just eat food. Don't worry about your hotbar. Don't look at your resources. Don't think if you can... There's no point trying to push maybe for some better gravel later. You should just blow up what's in front of you. The important part about learning temple seeds consistently fast is you're doing a specific method to reduce brain power. And even if you think that you're really good and that you might be able to do something more complex, you're not going to be playing 100% all the time. If you were, you would be the best player in the world. So it's doing something that's insanely simple on your brain is just far more consistent than doing something that you're good at maybe 70-80% of the time. Like 70-80% of the time. You'd rather just have something you're completely consistent at. And doing something that's very consistent and very easy on your brain lets you focus on more important things about the seed. So let's go into a new seed and just see what information that I have or don't have. So on this seed, I noticed it was gravel. Gravel is optional if you're good at woodlight, but definitely preferable. And I didn't have a good tree because I had one oak tree. I had everything else though. So my entire overworld was focused on just solving that one problem, or like those 2 specific problems. So on the seed, I have trees behind me. I think I see a lava pool back there in the top right of my screen right now, like there. And I have a river behind this side of the temple. I was stopping to look at the lava pool there just to explain where it was, but realistically in a run you should never like actually stop moving to look around for stuff in temple seeds. you should only stop moving later on after you actually have some resources. I'll go over like hotbar and like inventory micro later as well though. So I know where good trees are, and I just play whatever good trees. So in this seed, it would be this. I blow up this tree. I see a lava pool over there, and I would try and find water that connects. The closest water I have is over here, but that's also pretty far away. And I also have option of gravel over here. Gravel is just always going to make your overworlds more consistent, and because this is obscured terrain that I don't have info on yet, and I only had one lava pool, I know there are at least 2 more artificial lava pools that Ranked has generated. There was one really far over that way. I didn't see any in this flat area, so this means there are 2 more. I saw one here in the top right of my screen, and I also saw fire over here. I'm always going to try and play the most convenient, simple trees, but if I know where lava pool is, I'm basically going to try and connect them with the most convenient thing possible. In the seed, this is going to the river and gaining new information on this terrain. And by gaining new information on this terrain, when I'd only seen one lava pool, I was very likely to run into a new one. And it's not like a village seed where this is obscured by houses or trees. I just have good vision because it's a desert and because it's like a savanna with like low ground. Like the desert is really good. Otherwise, this the lava pool that was just over this small hill would not be like easily visible. So on this seed, it was, I had all the information, but everything was kind of in a weird line away from each other. So I played in a way that allowed me to maybe find something better as I played it. And I played the more consistent option, which is very often gravel. If you have a good chance to go and get gravel, like even slightly conveniently, you should. So looking on here, I see temple. I see water, trees, and lava pool to my left there. And those trees are not hard to get. They're not going to stop me getting a lot of wood. So I will, I can just play that. Any gravel I'd want to get is rather on the side of a mountain next to it, or it's committed insanely far away from the lava pool. So for simplicity, I'm just treating it as trees, water, lava. I usually care most about lava first. Oh, this is good. And now I just get gravel from this. Very often on these seeds, good things will kind of just show up on temple seeds, but you need to be very prepared for when they aren't. Go which direction it was, so it's here. All I do is I just like so when it comes, actually I'll explain blowing up TNT later, but this seed is literally it's just trees, water, lava. I would be able to do this even without a flint and steel, but the flint and steel just makes it nicer. You don't need good mechanics to be good at this overworld type. All you need to do is just have a very simple, clean line. Put the basic things I need in my hotbar. My block's already in the correct slot. I need to put my axe, pickaxe, bucket. Anything that I need in my hotbar, like flint and steel or wood, I can just put in later after I've crafted. I just focus on getting to my lava first, most of the time. Do that, and even though where you go, Bucket? Something there, I don't know what happened. I can very easily just enter the nether. Like that seed had all the information, and then even without that, if you know how to do a woodlight setup, woodlight is very like complex and annoying. If you're finding woodlight annoying to do, you can try and add gravel as more of like a requirement of your overworld. But generally speaking, you can boil down temple to those 3 things and play it the same every time. So in this, I'm going to do a few more, and we're just going to look at information and what I have or don't have. I didn't have gravel on that seed, so I was looking out for it, and the seed gave it to me. Worst case, I would just do a woodlight setup, and I would have all my all the things I need in this seed right there. So I have a lava pool here, and I have trees. I see water down there, so like my right here. So I can just play those 3 things. In this seed, the ocean is committed far away from everything. I could basically, if there was gravel very close to that water, I would play it. But since it's not, I can just go in this like tiny line from trees, water, lava pool that are all very close to each other and just woodlight it. Any convenient gravel should be played, but all you need at minimum is trees, water, lava pool, and if you don't have one of those, you should be on high alert to find them. None of these seeds have had a very good example of a bit of information you don't have yet. That's a terrible bit of movement. So I'll play this here. So all I need to do is just trees, water, lava every time. Every single overworld you play. It can just be boiled down to that. In craft, you don't need to store anything into your hotbar yet. You can move it just as you finish crafting there. My blocks are already in the correct slot before I even done that, because I pick blocked them in that slot in the temple. And you just set it. This is the kind of awkward place to do. This is the this is the kind of the problem with woodlight, is a lot of situations can have it be like really difficult to do. I'm gonna try to do something here that might work. But if you're struggling with woodlight, it's completely valid just to add gravel onto your list of requirements. I think I played an entire season of... I played half of Season 10. I played probably over 100, probably 150 like temples or so. And basically woodlit on them. And I had a reasonably okay temple average. But it would have been better if I was playing even more simple. A lot of seeds you can force gravel and be fine. I'm not playing this poll particularly fast because I'm not really paying much attention to it really, because I'm trying to explain some concepts, but I'll show actually building the poll a bit better later. Portal, you can get food. Trying to get to full saturation and have the hunger effect. That's the pretty important part about wrong flesh. I'll explain wrong flesh later. I'm going to reset a few seeds, see if I can get an overworld that has a lack of information. You're basically always going to have any trees. You don't need to have the perfect trees. You just need any convenient trees. Like you should prefer trees that are closer to like your lava. But it's not a requirement. So on this seed, I haven't seen a lava pool yet. Maybe I missed it. I don't have good eyesight. I don't have my glasses on. So this seed. So the problem to solve on this seed is lava. So all of my brain power on this seed is reserved. Like everything is basically just a rehearsal up until finding the lava pool. So my brain power for the entire overworld is just dedicated to where is the lava pool. This applies to village seeds as well, where if there's a bit of information you don't have on a seed, you should basically treat that like a big red alert. The problem to solve, the skill expression part of this overworld is now find the lava pool, and I found it. I see it there. I'm looking around for it. My eyes are very attuned to it. I'm not focused mechanically on what I'm doing. I'm being very simple, and I find what I need. And there's convenient gravel next to it, so I just play it. It's fine to just go in the bottom of the ocean. You don't need to do it on the side. Doing it in the bottom is a lot easier. Overlapping stuff in the middle of TNT, I'll discuss that later. But almost every overworld can be just boiled down to this. Probably better to get a bit of wood. I'm not too stingent on it since I typically don't make a shovel when I already have. I don't really make shovels very often on temple overworlds. And I only need, like, I'm only making the extra stick craft because I do that for my bow early. 6 beds, I'm not ever going to need explosives on the seed type for blaze bed because I have TNT. So that's up to 6 beds, which is pretty good for almost anything I play. Most overworlds can be boiled down to the simple, and you can get almost everything at, like... This is a very fast seed. You can get almost, like, every overworld to sub 2. There'll be some that are just annoying, some are going to have uncontrollably bad woodlights, and that's, like, perfectly fine. You don't need to be perfect, you just want to have a very high percentage of seeds where you play good enough. Basically, you don't want seeds that are going to be, like, disasters and losing, like, a minute or two to, like, a fundamental mistake. So on this seed, I didn't see a lava pool yet. Looking around, I see a lava pool to my left, top left of my screen there. I see trees close to it. I think I see a river, but I can't tell if that's, like, one of the desert lakes. But even if it is a desert lake, I have trees, water, and lava pool. because I didn't initially see lava pool, that was my like problem to solve, and I solved it before I entered. Before I entered the temple. I'm not usually worried where trees are. I just glance at what the best, like, easiest looking trees are before I enter the temple, since you're going to have trees. But the best ones might take a few seconds to figure out. Go here. One high quality tree. I can talk about TNT placement after, actually. Do this. Overlap eating. I don't need to sort anything in my hotbar. And every overworld will just boil down to this gravel. So I'm just going to put it here. It's a small quantity here, so I'm going to do it. Every overworld can just be basically boiled down to this. The reason woodlight is so effective at simplifying overworlds if you're good at it is mainly just because you have one less resource in gravel that you need to care about, and also the resources you have before getting to the lava pool will be the same as ones like on non-woodlight seeds. On woodlight seeds you maybe get one extra tree just to have the wood to woodlight with, but other than that you're just getting the same resources. The simplicity of Desert Temple overworlds is you almost never have varying resources, since you have a stack of blocks, more than that even, like you have 2 stacks of block, cut sandstone, dirt, another quarter stack of cut sandstone, you have stone itself. You'll probably be using that for your axe and whatnot, but generally speaking, you have everything every single time to, you basically have all the same time. Villages can be weird. Villages, desert villages, maybe you don't have wood, maybe some seeds you have leaves, some seeds you have food, some seeds you have different types of tools. Maybe you want to make a gold axe and a stone sword. There's like weird varying things you have to adjust to. Desert temples are basically a simplified, like, better training ground for something like a village seed. In the same way that, in a kind of similar way that shipwrecks are a good training ground for BTs. In the sense that the skill sets are the same, but desert temples are an easier village. So yeah, I'm looking for information, lava pool, trees, water, and I'm focusing. Okay, I see that. I found lava pool. I see trees to my left, and I'm next to a river. I don't see gravel in the river, but I see a different river in front of me here. So that's all my information. I found it. I hesitated a little bit to show where I was looking, but realistically, I don't need to stop at all. And if I don't have that information, I can find it while I'm running to my trees, to my water, and to my lava pool. As I'm getting to my things, I can like focus on my information. Let's get a different seed. If I do this, I probably should find specific seeds examples first, but most temple seeds are very easy. By just playing stuff in a very linear, simple order and reducing like stress on your brain, you just almost always have like an easy way to play these seeds. I see a river, lava pool, trees behind me. All I have to do is just play them in order every single time. It's the same every time. I raise a TNT, I blow it up. I go to the river, I blow up the gravel. I craft my stuff, I have my bucket of water, and I go to the lava pool and make it and light it. You can have like incredibly bad mechanics and incredibly bad proficiency with stuff and still be very fast by just playing simple. Another good aspect of playing simple is also the way you manage your hotbar. And by manage your hotbar, it means you do 3 things and you never change it any overworld, and it means that you're never thinking about it. This seed has trees, gravel, water. So my only problem now is lava pool. I see a lava pool far over that way, but it is pretty far. I see a closer one here. So there are far lava pools to the front right of me there, really far away in the desert. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my trees, water, and gravel, and I'm going to see if I can find a new lava pool. If I can't find a new lava pool, I will just run to the ones that I play, that I saw initially. Guaranteed is always better over trying to push slightly better pace, but if you can, you should look out for stuff that can maybe make you a bit faster. Oh, I see like by just thinking about maybe I want a better lava pool. I found a better one there. I don't know if there's gravel on that other river, so I'm just gonna get it now. Even though it's technically less optimal to get gravel first, the worst thing that can happen in these overworlds is you don't get something guaranteed and then you have to commit back to it. Playing what's guaranteed will always be the best. I don't think I'm gonna get enough wood there, so I'm just gonna quickly go do another. You should never overlap TNT outside of doing 2 trees. You should never do it. You should never do a TNT tree and gravel. And you should never do, like, tree and something else. Only when you want a lot of wood do you want to do 2 TNTs overlapped. Otherwise, if you want to overlap something while you're waiting for your TNT to blow up, it should almost always be eating rotten flesh. Being high health as possible before Bastion start and before Bastion leave is probably the most important thing to winning ranked games. To win ranked games, you don't need to be fast, you just need to be consistent up to a certain level. And that level being like bottom netherite or like maybe like top 200 or something like that. If you are like, especially if you're below diamond, you will not basically gain anything from being generally faster. You will only gain more elo, you'll only win more on average by throwing by having throwers less. Like dying less, or having a reason where you have to make major mistakes, like maybe messing up your direction on Pydar, maybe pearling in the wrong place, maybe not having food, stuff like that. That's what you want to avoid. And the way you can play temples like this plays into this, while also being very effective just for speed in general. So the seed, I saw trees, gravel, lava, and if I didn't see one of them, my brain would be looking out for them. And that would be the only thing I'm thinking about. I'm not mechanically focused on at all what I'm doing. You've probably noticed that my mechanics are not actually that good at all. And that's fine, because most stuff in like rank just doesn't really rely on good mechanics. It just relies on consistency. I get my trees, I get my water, and thankfully there's gravel as well, so I can skip woodlighting, and I get lava pool. And that order every single time can almost universally like make you faster at this. I almost always make stone axe by default, but if I see 10 iron, I will I'll make iron axe. The difference between stone axe and iron axe is almost nothing. It's not worth splitting hairs over. Very often I will just make a stone axe even on an iron axe seed because I'm not paying attention to my iron count because it's not important. And you can apply this just to almost every single like temple overworld. I have basically been autopiloting this while explaining concepts because most temple overworlds are just literally on autopilot. I'm gonna do in a second because I'm gonna reset for woodlight seeds here. So start cleaning it. But notice how almost every single one of these seeds just ends up converging on around sub 2. If you don't have as good mechanics or as good proficiency, or you get a bit stuck making a portal or something, or you struggle with a woodlight, maybe you'll average a bit of like sub 220. But if you're applying these like concepts consistently and in the easiest possible way, the actual trick to doing this sort of stuff and being consistent is not to like try really hard in every moment, but is to have just a method that's very easy and replicable. You should basically be able to play like this when you're like exhausted or like not playing super well. It should just be a method that's so consistent that it almost never depends on how well you're playing. There are other parts of the run that are pretty like skill intensive, even if you're already good at them. But temples can become a very like autopilot thing. Keep resetting, see if I can find something that has. Actually, what I'm gonna do on the seed is I'm just gonna force a woodlight. Even if there's gravel, I'm gonna just explain the concept here. On woodlight seeds, you're not actually doing much different. So the closest trees are here. Pretend there's no ocean behind me. The closest trees are to my right. You can look at the direction before you go in. I'm facing to where that is here. That's east. Okay. So when I go out of the temple, I'm gonna look at east. if you struggle to see directions, like when you're to like know what direction you need to go, leaving the temple, like you forgot where you're supposed to go, you can just look at the direction of 3. It can be POSX. You can think about it, whatever. It doesn't really matter too much. I look at the northwest, southeast. Some people look at POSX, POSZ, negx, negz, stuff like that. And it's here. I see water. On woodlight seeds. So let me explain the difference between the 2 TNT types that I do. The first one is playing one high quality tree. Almost any tree you can raise by 2 or 3. So when it comes to TNT, you don't need any crazy advanced techniques. You just need to raise the TNT and have it be in a good position to get more logs. For example, on let's look at this this tree here. This tree has these, and it has logs going to the right here. So the best way to apply this TNT is 2 concepts. One of them is called the Knight's Rule. This is just a general thing with the way explosions work, but you're going to get more logs by... Basically, you don't want the TNT aligned straight with the tree. You actually want it to be aligned maybe slightly like off. So like it's like a chess piece, like a knight, right? You go 1, 2, and you go to the side, or it could be here. You basically want it in any of these spots, right? Get it here. So here on this tree, say I raise my TNT and put it here, though, right? It's actually less exposed to this wood, so it's probably not likely to blow up this one at the back here. How many logs are on here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 is enough for me. Personally, I would suggest a lot of people who struggle with 0 or like just generally get more wood. It's fine to spend more time to get better resources. You don't need to push pace very much. But personally, I'm fine with 8 logs. But in this situation, if I blew up this this tree, I think we have like 2 almost identical trees here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to blow this one up, and we're going to see what happens to the tree. You probably already tell what's going to happen, but I now don't get as many logs from like doing this. But by looking where the wood goes, I can do it here. So there's a Knight's Rule. So I go with Knight's Rule. It goes like either here or here, and it's the one that's closer to the other wood that's slightly harder to get. So this. A TNT like this is probably best. This is if you want to get one. Didn't actually get much wood there. Maybe I should have raised a bit more. That's a good learning experience there. You should go into seeds basically wanting to farm mistakes. I didn't realize that would get very little, so I thought, so I'm thinking, okay, maybe next time I should be more willing to raise TNT. This tree, a good example here. It goes like out this way, and there's also one to the right as well. So the Knight's Rule is really good here. Let me throw away this. I can raise it a lot to make sure I get everything. And yeah, everything here. 9 logs, that's plenty. That includes your crafting table sticks. That includes your boat. More sticks if you want to make a bow. I got 1 from the tree, so I'd have 12 there. You make a bow later on, and you're going to have 21 for 7 beds. On a temple seed, you don't need extra beds for blaze bed, because you're always going to have TNT. You should not overuse TNT on temple seeds if you need to use like a lot of them in the run. You should always keep 3 for the spawner, but you're almost always going to have 3. You can do a donut setup if you have that. I personally do 3 TNT, but the difference is pretty meaningless. If you just have enough, you should just never need to make a bed on temple seeds, basically. So having 9 logs is really good. It's like axe, pickaxe, shovel, bow, and 3 sticks for anything else. Maybe you can make a sword. I personally don't really make swords. I don't find them very useful, to be honest. You can sword, you can get maybe a gold pick later in the run. You wouldn't want to make one early. You shouldn't make gold picks early. You should make them post-bastion when the gold no longer has value as a trade. And having that gives you everything else. And you have this, which is 7 beds worth. I'm personally fine with almost anything from 7 plus, but if you're like less experienced, it's probably better to just get a little bit more wood. It's not too important though. Just try and get 9. And if you don't get it, you make all your tools and you just mine 2 bits of wood and you just pick block and craft it and whatever. So that's when you have gravel. That's how you play these trees when you have gravel. When you don't have gravel, usually 1 tree can give you like pretty good amount of wood, But since you're woodlying and you're going to be using like an indeterminate amount of wood, it's actually better to get 2 trees. But the thing is, you don't actually need to raise these TNTs as much because 2 trees is going to consistently give you a lot. So let's say I exited the temple, and then I realized, oh, okay, I'm woodlining on the seed. Pretend this ocean doesn't exist. Pretend there's like a lava pool here. There's water, and I want a woodlight. I'm gonna look for 2 trees, and I'm going to just put a night rule, non-raised TNT, next to 2 of them. Not next to oak trees. I'm doing it next to acacia trees because they always have more exposed wood. They have more wood, and also it's being blocked less by leaves. The leaves can block from the blast resistance and maybe block 2 of like the blocks or something. So I'm gonna night rule. This is the one that's going to get that. And I do a similar thing here. I just place on the ground, nice roll towards, like, it goes to the left. And I just run in between the 2 trees. This is the literal only situation where you're overlapping, blowing up 2 trees with your TNT. And this will give me a lot of wood. Normally on a gravel seed, I don't need this much. But on a woodlight seed, you're going to be using a lot of it on the portal. You might need to replace some of it on the portal. So it's always just a safe thing to always just get a lot more. And you waste, what, 2 seconds? To completely remove getting more trees from your brain. The entire point of the way that you play is to reduce brain power. So I'll do an overworld with, I'll force woodlight, even if there's close gravel, and I'll show you what I mean. So when you have a seed with flint and steel, you do a raised Knight's Rule TNT, and when you are woodlighting, you can do you can raise it if you really want, but it doesn't need to be raised in a woodlight seed. The seed, I see a lava pool trees behind me, and I see a lava pool and water in front of me. But I have obscured terrain towards where my trees are, so I'm going to guess there's water there. I do have technically a guaranteed water, but it's pretty inconvenient, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to look for a better water in this seed. I wouldn't bother too much about the difference of bottom TNT and top TNT. You should just do what is comfortable. The difference is basically nothing. That was the opposite way. I wasn't paying attention. So I think I'm woodlining on the seed. Oh, okay. So this seed just has 2 convenient trees next to each other. But if I didn't have 2 convenient trees next to each other, I would do this. Nice roll 1 TNT. And nice roll the other. Looking for more convenient water. I see a little pond here. So I'm going to use this. I craft at the water every single time, so as soon as I make my bucket, I'm always like so my brain's not working. I always pick up my water as I do it. You never want to forget stuff. Crafting next to water is almost always good on any sea type. On village as well. On ocean, you don't really need to because, well, you're probably going to just be crafting next to water anyway. But like, you're just in an ocean, so you're probably just going to get it anyway. So woodlight. I'm not going to go over exactly how woodlight works right now, but I'm going to just do woodlight. And I'm making this with the assumption that you know how to do woodlight. If not, I don't know what resources are good for it. But even if you're really struggling with woodlight, you can just replace, like, doing woodlight with just making gravel a required part of your reward. Completely forcing gravel is a completely, like, valid play. And if you're playing these overworlds correctly, it shouldn't even make that much of a difference to your average. Look at this, and now that I've got everything in the seed set up, I don't care about my inventory, I'm making an excuse to eat and get my health up before the bastion. I might not top rock. For now, I'm just going to focus on the temple overworld itself. But generally speaking, I'm not gonna talk about rotten flesh right now. The TLDR with rotten flesh is instead of eating it as much as possible, you should eat it to get the hunger effect and to fill your hunger bar, and then you should wait until you have at least 1.5 gone, because the game will force drain your hunger to give you hearts back. So, for example, the better way to use this is get to full health with it, and then let the hunger effect naturally drain it. So so in this situation, it's I've got half a hunger drained, but it drains it until you have 8.5 hunger gone, and it'll give me a heart. So instead of eating, the actual faster way to heal that also uses less rotten flesh is just to wait for this for it to force heal, and then I eat again. There is a small chance when you eat to full health with rotten flesh, it'll give you half a heart. But the actual healing you're getting is you're getting 1 heart per rotten flesh. And you're getting that heart from letting the hunger drain down. And when the hunger's drained down, you eat again. And it should be fine. And you do that on the way to the bastion. So on this, I'm waiting for it to drain 1.5 down. It did that. And I can do that again. And I eat. Sometimes you can eat food even when you have full health because it gives you saturation of it fully, just in case you do something. You don't need to eat rotten flesh all the time though if you're full health though. I do it once to get saturation as basic, effectively having a tiny bit more health. But generally speaking, I would just not eat it past then. Eating it between doing stuff in Bastion, between mining gold blocks, and while you're sorting your items is really good. Say, example, I'm in a Bastion. I'm gonna very quickly explain, like, a situation that I'd use to eat rotten flesh. I'll eat rotten flesh on the way to a Bastion. Say I have, like, 8 hearts here. Let me... It's like this. Okay, say I want this health back. What I'm gonna do is say I'm in a Bastion, I want to sort items. I'll create a hole to sort items. I'll eat the rotten flesh, and then I will sort stuff. And then, while my hunger is draining, I'm using that time while I can't heal anymore to do like activities like sorting items and maybe crafting stuff like that. If I had more health gone, I would eat another bit of rotten flesh and then I would do something else. Maybe I would craft some items, craft nether brick, maybe get 6 wool. Wouldn't need to on... Actually, you wouldn't need to on temple seeds because you have TNT, so you don't need to do blaze bed. I would set up a pearl hang. I would sort my hotbar. I would... there's a lot of different things you can do. You could pidar in between doing it. Basically, you're just trying to eat rotten flesh and then use the downtime while you're waiting for the hunger to go down again, so you can eat more rotten flesh. You're using that time to like do activities and stuff, like do overlaps. So those are the main things. Information and playing around information you don't have by focusing on that information. Simplicity in just like how you play your line. You should play what's guaranteed, and if this thing that's guaranteed that you think might be a bit slow, like a water and lava that's really far away, you should just glance and look for better ones. In this seed, I see no gravel close, so this is a woodlight seed. I'm gonna ignore that rune portal. I think I know where the chest is on it, but I'm not gonna bother with it. I'll do one more woodlight overworld, and then I'm going to explain a few hotbar micro things that just make moving around in your inventory and in your hotbar just a lot cleaner. Okay, well, I'll do it on a different seed, I guess. Looking around. Every single overworld, you should check for a spike as soon as you get in the seed, but temple is the one exception where you don't look for a spike. You don't need to look for a spike in every seed type, but it just helps way more finding stuff. Temple is the only seed type where you don't really need to do that. So about the seed, I wasn't really paying much attention, so I'm gonna treat this as if I didn't see a lava pool, even if I was paying attention. So I remember there was trees and water. So my only bit of information that I don't have is a lava pool. I remembered I had to enter through the top of the temple, so that's where I'm gonna leave now. I'm not even looking around for a lava pool. What I'm gonna do is I'll focus on looking around for a lava pool when I actually have like downtime. I see a lava pool there, that's good. There is a river, but I'm gonna force woodlight. Usually don't play oak trees in this award. I don't have an insane amount of wood. And if you have a situation where you don't have a lot of wood, you can just mine a little bit more after. So you don't need to do, like, just get a little bit more. It's always better to be safe and get extra resources than you think you might need. You will have seeds where you mess up and need more stuff. And spending, 1-2 seconds to deal with it is worth it over than throwing entire seeds because you didn't get wood for like 2 seconds in the overworld. Checking a bit of sand doesn't fall on it. I'm eating food. And I'm going to get to full health of that. And now I'm just going to... Okay, no time to sort items. I'm going to look at my hotbar of stuff to sort. Yeah, 210 on this. And now, let's say I wanted to sort items. Oh, I wanted to get the Bastion. I mean, let me do a bit of terrain after Bastion. What I'm going to do, I know I need to eat around 2 or 3 more rotten flesh to get full health for Bastion. You should make sure you're on full health before every single Bastion, almost no matter what. Even if it means slowing down to do it. Oh, I took a bit of damage there. I'm going to wait for my hunger to heal but to 8.5 hunger or lower. It did. I'll eat another bit of food. And I'm not going to eat more food until it's went all the way down. To the point where it won't naturally heal anymore. It's naturally healed again. Basically, you don't just want to hold right-click and eat raw flesh all the time. There, I want to get full health. Even 9.5 hearts, I'll just do that. I now have a bit of saturation on top of this. It's very nice. And way before I got to the Bastion, I have full health. Sometimes you'll just spawn in or close to the Bastion. You're just gonna try and force eating at the best times. Like if you just want to force yourself to heal faster, it is always faster just to wait for the health to drain. It's not something that saves more rotten flesh but is slower. It's just actively faster, if I'm not mistaken, to just wait for the hunger to drain to 8.5 or lower and then eat rotten flesh. You get 1 heart every time, and I think sometimes depending on your saturation, I don't know exactly how it works. It's basically random, but I know there is a fixed way to the way it actually works. You can get like half a heart just after finishing the rotten flesh. And before I start a Bastion route, let's say, let me go to start this here. Just before I start my route, I will just eat another rotten flesh. This is effectively like 10 or 11 hearts, because I have saturation afterwards as well. It's basically just an overheal. Being very overly cautious with food is actively like a massive thing that can help you win way more games. Bastion death rate is probably one of the biggest things that causes people to lose games. If you die 30% of your Bastions, then and let's say you're above like an Emerald 1 level, you're basically throwing away like 90% of those games where you die, so you might as well just be throwing away 28% of your games. If you're dying 10% of the time, you probably just had a win rate like 15% higher in your rank, and you probably just by just simply dying less, you're probably like have an elo range like way higher at that point. So now that I've discussed finding information and how to do TNT and explaining beelining and information, I'm going to go over some hotbar micro that can help make like just mainly to reduce brain RNG and make the temple far easier to do. This is a very strange sheet. It's like a weird shat savannah. So bottom TNT or top TNT doesn't really matter. It can matter, but the difference is so minimal that I wouldn't really care about it. I personally do bottom TNT simply because I find it easier to loot the bottom of the temple. But it really doesn't matter. I'll just do even just top TNT for the sake of this. The difference is negative. So what I do whenever I get into the temple, I don't sort anything in my hotbar, I don't look in chests, I don't look at my resources. I do one thing, and I grab most of my items, and then I just press pick block on the cut sandstone. There will be cut sandstone somewhere. Some bit might be blown up. I just do that until I notice that I have blocks in my hands, and then I just stack up. I'm not doing anything in my hotbar. I blow up the TNT. As soon as as I've got most of the items, my pick block is C. A lot of people have on middle click. You just press it on the block and get it, and you just stack up. You don't move your blocks to a better slot. You don't sort anything in your hotbar. You don't heal unless there's like a mob or something or a cave you're in, and you just go up. You don't need to be mechanically like crazy with it. You just do the you just it's a very simple task. You just click on the block and you just stack up. If you don't know where like what side you mine in the temple, you can just as you're like, stacking up, you can just glance up, and that's fine. The worst thing you can do is fall down. That's probably the worst scenario you can have. So whenever I'm running to my trees, I like to I have 3 items at this point that I want to be in a consistent slot. That being your blocks, your TNT, and your pressure plate. Whenever I do top TNT or bottom TNT, when I get the TNT from the bottom, I put it into my 4 slot. So I'll show that now. You don't need to do all of this exactly the same, but by having a very simple system in your mind of the way that you do stuff and having it practiced, you can reduce brain power by never having to think about like consciously think about this stuff and be able to completely focus on the seed. So I'll just do bottom TNT here, doesn't really matter, difference is the same. I put my TNT in my 4 slot because that's where I like it, but you can put it in whatever your slot is, but have a consistent slot every time. I pick blocked this, and I got it in my 3 slot, but if it wasn't, like last seed, it was in my 2 slot, what I would do is, just before I get to the tree that I want to do, it's this way, I would put my blocks in my 3 slot, and I put my pressure plate in my whatever slot. It doesn't actually matter what slot it is. Your block slot could be here, 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 it doesn't matter. You should put these 2 items, you should put the TNT in your TNT slot. You should use the same slot every time, every single overworld. You should put your blocks in your block slot, and you should put your pressure plate slot in your pressure plate slot before you get to the tree. And then, let's say I was playing gravel because there's like gravel over wherever it is in the seed, like here. I would do a knight's rule, and I would raise it to try and get as many of these top things as possible. You don't need to overlap anything. If you really have time to overlap stuff, you should always prioritize eating rotten flesh over anything else. So as soon as you get your wood, put it in a consistent slot and craft it. Putting it into this consistent slot is good. For me, this is my 8th slot. This is the slot I like to put stuff in when I want to hotkey it to like craft stuff. So I'd always put my logs in a specific slot. So if they're in your inventory, you put them in, and then you craft the logs. It's already planks to me. And then I would put it back in here, and I would do this. I would just shift and put it back in your inventory. These sticks are going to stay here. You're going to have this consistent slot for your crafting table. So this will free up 1 slot. So when you craft, I would always look for stone first. I would not look if you have the iron for an iron axe. I would just almost always craft a stone axe. The difference between a stone axe and an iron axe is virtually nothing. The only difference is it makes playing strays slightly harder, but if you're playing to win at anything below like top 50, you should basically never be playing for strays. You should be playing strays if they're given to you, but you should never be turning your rend distance down to play them. So your axe doesn't matter, because everything on spawner is just mostly going to be overlapped. The only time you can actually save time by having a stone axe over an iron axe and a temple seed, because you're not mining wood, and the only mobs you're killing are usually just overlapped anyway. So I just find it far easier in my brain to always make a stone axe. So I make a stone axe first every time, and I shift it, and it's always in this consistent slot. And I'm not throwing anything out of my inventory. When I leave the temple and I blow up the TNT, I move nothing. I don't change anything in my hotbar, and this is important. It just makes using your inventory a lot easier. So I craft my stone axe. The sticks would already be in that slot, and then what I do is I put this. I craft my pickaxe. I shift it in. I'm not going to do anything with it. I double click these. I unshift to get this, and I double click this, and I put this in my inventory, and I craft my boat at the same time. You don't need to move the wood back into your inventory. You can just leave your inventory and it'll be put in a slot. This stone axe is going to be in the same slot every single time. And then when you shift these items in, the only items you actually need to move at this point are pickaxe and bucket. And I just usually look at these slots because they're almost always going to be here because they go into the bottom rightmost part of your inventory and there's no hotbar space. So you only have to look here every single time. You can put boat in there as well. I usually do. It doesn't really matter if you do or don't. But at this point, I mine my crafting table, and if my axe is in the wrong slot, I can rather offhand sort it, or I can just move it manually. So at this point, I have my hotbar completely set up for this overworld, outside of maybe not having my TNT in my slot, because my TNT and my bucket are the same one. So I get water. I craft it next to water, so I get my water as soon as I get my bucket, as early as possible. And then I go into this, and then I have my pressure plate. it doesn't really matter. Like if like say your TNT or pressure plate overlap with maybe one of the slots for these four items for axe, pickaxe, cut sandstone, and water bucket, you can just replace them when you need to mine gravel. You can replace it, do that, block yourself off, and you can just put the item that you wanted there back. The gravel. See, didn't give you gravel here. If you ever have a situation where you have a lot of this, you can rather stop, get time to make a shovel, or I'm lazy and don't make shovels, so I set off the TNT first, and then I place a bunch of gravel and do that. And if you ever have time to overlap, you can just put on flesh to get yourself healthy before you enter the bastion. You don't need health before you enter the nether, but you require health before you enter the bastion. So let me do the seed in full speed here. So I'm not clearing anything out of my inventory. That's for later in the run. That's for the bastion. That's a nether related thing. My only goal in terms of overlapping doing other stuff before bastion is making sure I'm full health before the bastion, and that's it. There is nothing else. I don't care about any other thing until I'm like in or starting the bastion. If your inventory is literally full, just spend around a few seconds to make sure you get rid of the things that you need to get rid of. So I pick blocked my cut sandstone into the block, and I put my TNT before that into the slot that I wanted. Not really paying attention to where I'm going. Yeah, and then I Knight's Rule place this TNT. I'm a bit off, it's fine. As long as you're diagonal from it and it's raised, it's fine. Do this, I have nothing to do for a few seconds, so I'm going to eat raw flesh. I'm going to go next to water. I'm going to put my wood into this slot, and I'm going to craft my crafting table into the slot and leave sticks in my inventory. I'm going to make my axe. I'm going to do this, shift my pickaxe, double click these, shift click the bucket in, and with my boat as well, and I put these in the slots. I break the crafting table, I get water, and I realize I don't have TNT in my hotbar. I can put it here into a pre-slot. I have a few seconds where I'm not doing anything. Didn't get gravel. So worst case, I'll just do this. I can put more things in my hotbar while I'm waiting. I got flint, and now I can just go to the lava pool. And now at this point, my entire hotbar is set up. I don't have to think about anything. I can just think about how I'm going to do my portal, where I'm going to make it, what lava pool I'm going to, am I getting food or something. I can keep that entirely in my mind. Oh, ghost bucket. Yeah, not particularly fast, but it's fine. And if I want to get to Bastion, let's say I take a ton of full damage. I can notice, okay, this is I don't have a lot of health going to this Bastion, and the most dangerous part of a Bastion, two parts of the Bastion split, is entering the Bastion and starting the route. And leaving the Bastion and pearling on terrain. Those are the two most dangerous parts. I'm not going to easily get my health back in time, and I have a lot of raw flesh, so I'm actually going to eat the gapple instead. I can get access to armor here. Yep. Armor distracts. Close up my hotbar. And I would just start my round. Let's do one more full speed example of a new seed with these methods in mind. The only difference you change in your hotbar micro is you put wood in your hotbar and woodlight seeds, and you blow up 2 trees with overlap TNT and woodlight seeds. Other than that, you just do the same thing every time on every overworld. So I see trees behind me into my it's like left of my screen. I saw water and lava. I didn't stop to look around. If I need more information, I'll get it later. I'm not going to stop to look for gravel. If there's a better river, it will show up in my line. If not, it's just better to play woodline. I put my TNT there. I get the cut sandstone. I make sure I get everything. Make sure you get the stone. You don't want to miss stone and have a wood axe. Stone axe is just way, way, way better. So now I'm going. I want to go to my trees, water, and lava pool, which I just see all in front of me. If there's a better water or better lava pool, I'll just get it later. It's a woodlight, so oh, I placed the wrong order of things. Okay. I meant to do that the other way around, but in this seed, it's fine. I can, let's say I thought I was going to get enough wood, and I didn't. I can just place stuff in there. I can use this part of my inventory to do it fast. I can just mine a bit more wood. Peg block on a free slot, craft it. And I'm going to need woodlight, so I put this in here. And my goal is to eat around... My hunger's going to go to around 4 hunger gone in this overworld. So I'm probably going to need like 4 or 5 rotten flesh eaten before I enter the mansion, which is fine. I'm going to be in a woodlight, so I'm going to have time in the portal to do it. Oh, I almost placed lava there. So anyway, I need to get around 4 or 5 rotten flesh before I enter the bastion. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this downtime. If you want to sort items, make sure your actual hotbar slot is in an empty slot. Because if the portal lights as you're doing this and you press Control Q, it will actually throw it in your hand. So if you have your diamond pickaxe in your main hand and you're spamming Control Q, you could actually drop it in front of you into your sorted items, and all that item sorting would just be useless. Also, I fucked up that woodlight, but it's fine. Pretty bad woodlight. Some woodlights are just unlucky. I wasn't really paying much attention to it. I didn't fix the woodlight very much. Yep, just unfortunate. Some woodlights are just bad, but committing for gravel would almost take as long on a seed like this, where there's almost nothing to go for. The average woodlight is pretty fast. It's around, I'd say like a 10 percentile of woodlights are pretty terrible, but most of them are not too bad. Into easy mode, always every time. Yeah, I don't even need to eat any more raw flesh because I've just done it overlap now. So I'm going to stop and explain nothing. I'm going to say nothing, and you can pay attention to the hotbar and inventory related micro I'm going to do, and you should try and copy it. You don't need to literally put stuff in the same slots as me, and you don't need to do literally everything the same, but by having a very simple, consistent system, you will never have to think about your hotbar, and you can focus completely on the seed and how you're going to play it. If it's useful, I could do a bunch of example seeds with or without commentary. This is just the first attempt I'm doing at making something that kind of explains something in a more digestible way. This is a big, like, fucking yap, but I just kind of wanted something initially out first, so I could kind of gauge how I'm going to do this and making, like, kind of things to help people with. When it comes to woodlight, if you ever see it break the bottom block, place 2 blocks above it so it doesn't flow into the portal, otherwise it will. I'm ready to replace blocks ever if I need. Should light. Replace that. Even if I pick up my items again, it's better just to replace. Very slow woodlight. Most woodlights are far faster than this. I don't know why I ate another rotten flesh there. But yeah. No seed. I got the 2 trees because they were released again. I knew I needed a lot more wood. And I knew there was no convenient gravel, but everything else that I needed was conveniently very close to each other, so I committed to woodlight. Woodlight is a pretty complicated thing. A lot of this assumes that you know woodlight already, but in what I did last season, for example, was I would just force getting gravel, even in places where it's technically not as optimal. Like, if I played the seed last season, I would have just gotten these trees, went to the river, and then just ran all the way back to the lava pool, which isn't... That would be faster on this specific woodlight, but on most woodlights it wouldn't be. If you're struggling at building the woodlight setup, and you like really struggle a lot with it, like I would say for most of the player base, it would just benefit them to almost never do woodlight unless it's needed. But if you're confident making it without like taking a lot of fire damage and doing it consistently, comfortably, it doesn't need to be fast, it just needs to be consistent and low damage, then it should be fine. It just makes the line a lot easier. So yeah, got the 1 more seed. I'll try and see if I can explain everything I possibly can that I went through as like a recap. Maybe I'll try and find a seed that's a good example. Most temples of worlds are pretty similar though. I'm beelining to the temple. I'm using my I'm not stopping moving to look for information. I see trees, gravel, water behind me. I don't see a lava pool yet. My goal on the seed is to find a good lava pool. Which I'm not going to stop and look for it. I'm going to look for it when I've gotten my resources, or like during my TNTs I'm going to look around, or as I'm running, or something. So now I'm in the temple. I do my same hotbar micro every time. For me, it's just muscle memory at this point. That's kind of what you want. You don't want it to be fast. You don't want it to be the best possible, most optimal thing. It just needs to be consistent and easy to remember without thinking. You shouldn't need to consciously... Basically, if you're practice at it, you just want to not consciously think about it. That's all. This is the most convenient place to like get gravel. Otherwise, I would get it second. I would almost always try and get your trees first. I'm never going to overlap the TNT. I'm going to eat food so I can be full health before I start the bastion. I see a lava pool to my right here, so I'm going to go kind of towards it. I don't like this tree. I'm going to go to a higher quality one. I'm going to do a Knight's Rule raised TNT because I only want 1 tree. Because since I have a wood line. I put these items in same slots. Put everything I need. Only my first 4 slots here matter in this until I've actually like built a portal. Pretty bad lava pool. Fine, should be able to deal with it. Sub 2. Big distance between stuff. I didn't even get to do my trees first, which is almost always matters. I have a ton of... I have almost full health, and I'm in consistently. Even with it annoying to make portal, even with a bit of distance running between stuff, and not being able to do trees first. You can apply this to almost every overworld, every temple overworld. It's probably the most consistent and simple overworld when you've like put time into it. I don't know how... I'll probably make this unlisted for now, since this is probably not going to be like a final draft of what I actually want to do for this, but please ask me if you want any clarifications or help. I am actively, like, enjoy talking about this stuff, so. Is there anything else I can think of? Not really. If you have questions about woodlight or rotten flesh, ask me, and then I might just make a thing explaining that as well. Alright, bye-bye.